Alrighty, welcome to the Call Zoo Coaching Call. It is April 8th, 2016. Happy Friday morning or evening or wherever you are right now. So let's go ahead and get started here. We've got a lot to do. We're going to do a continuation of the previous coaching call. And if you haven't heard that one yet, you definitely want to log into the members area and check it out. That one was on the 31st of March. I got a lot of good feedback from it. And stuff. So let's go ahead and continue that conversation and dig deeper with that. But first, before we get started with that, I want to share with you a quote from Warren Buffett, and he's the one who lays claim to this, and that's chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. It's a super, super powerful quote on that end of it. And what he's talking about on here and the way that I interpret it and how these kind of things help shape my mind and really will help shape yours and what you do in your life, and that it's really about perfecting your habits. And when people think about perfecting their habits, they want to have good habits, or I think there's a book out there called the I don't know, what is it, 27 or 22 habits of successful people. That's not what I'm talking about. And I think those are all useless. And what I'm talking about on that end of it is people will say, you want to have good work and entrepreneur habits. So you want to get up early. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. Because there's a lot of people that get up early and they're broke. There's a lot of people that get up early because they just can't sleep. Okay. So that's not the kind of habit I'm talking about. There's other habits that people have of, working hard, working very hard for a solid period of time. That's not the kind of habit I'm talking about. And quite frankly, I don't think that's the kind of habit that Warren Buffett's talking about either on here. So when I say you need to perfect your habits on here, this is what I'm talking about. But first, let's kind of backtrack a little bit about how these chains get built, because they're not noticeable in the beginning. And habits, creating good or bad habits, which I'll define in a second through examples, is not like getting a six-pack abs. You can clearly see it. The habits and the mindset, you can't. It's not like you look in the mirror and all of a sudden you have a six-pack or a flat tummy. And before you had a beer belly, and that's not what it's about. So, what am I talking about here? We're talking about just little stuff. Let's say that you procrastinate. Everybody procrastinates, right? So it's kind of like you procrastinate, and that procrastination is like just a very thin, tiny rubber band, maybe tying your hands or your ankles together. Not a big deal. Easy to break free from. But if that habit continues and you continue to procrastinate, it's like adding a second rubber band and a third and a fourth and a fifth. And pretty soon you can't break free of it. It's too strong. It's pulled you down, and it happens over time. And it becomes too heavy. It becomes too strong, and you just can't break free from it. These are the kind of habits like procrastination that you want to avoid on here. The kind of habits that you want to perfect are not the kind of doey habits. The get up early, the work hard, the meditate. There's benefits to all these, right? But there's some underlying habits under all of this that will trump all of those. And they become too strong, and it doesn't matter what you do at that point. It doesn't matter what kind of mentor you have. It doesn't matter if you get up early. It doesn't matter if you block out, time during your busy days to work on other projects. All those stuff gets trumped if you don't perfect your habits. Let me give an example of what I'm talking about here. And I thought about this before the call, and I really wanted to kind of drive this home. So let's say, for example, you had like the most perfect day you can imagine. And participate with me on this on here. So you think of what kind of things would happen during your day that you have the most perfect day. Maybe if you're single, that particular person that you've always wanted to get to know better suddenly text you and said, "Hey, what's up? I'm going someplace tonight. I was wondering if you'd want to join me." That would put you in an incredible mood, right? I'd be like, "Whoa, this is turning out to be a great day." And let's say that, in that same day, just everything flowed together. You're driving around to do shopping or whatever, and everywhere you went, you got like front row parking, even though the parking lots were full. Everything was just coming together for you. If you still work at JOB, you got like a raise and an increase in vacation on the same day. You got a promotion and an increase in vacation. I mean, it's time to celebrate, right? And somebody is really that you want to get to know then contacts you, and it's like, "Oh, geez, this is just amazing." And then you learn of a good friend who's maybe was in ill health and they've turned it around, and just everything's flowing. Everybody that you see and interact with today, whether it's a bank teller or just strangers on the street, you smile at them just because you just feel so good and everything's great, right? Maybe you just got a new lease on a brand new car and you got that smell of the brand new car on you, and you're just on top of the world. Everything's great, right? Just imagine that for a second. Everything's happy. Everything's perfect. Then you get home after this fantastic day. You may even be getting ready to go out, and so you're all dressed up and ready to go. And then you check your Facebook feed, and somebody leaves you a really bad comment. They just totally thrash on you. Could be a relative, could be a friend, could be a complete stranger you don't even know. Now, what do the majority of the people do at that point? They had 10, 20 things going on amazing during the day. And they let that one thing totally ruin their day and take them out of the mood, everything. Now, there's books on this from different perspectives. From an evolutionary standpoint, it's argued that these habits were built in for our own survival. That everything could be going great, but if all of a sudden something happened, a tribal member suddenly disgraced us or something, we have to now focus on that, and so that we can still be a part of the tribe, so we can still survive. Okay, so we have this. I've said this before. We've got this incredible brain, but the problem is it's 10,000 years old. It doesn't work in today's environment, at least not very well. And so you need to learn to perfect your habits. And the habits are the mental habits on here. And I'm not talking about, self-talk, happy guru kind of stuff, Hallmarky card quotes to yourself, because all that stuff is nonsense. What I'm talking about is real tactical things, is that you need to be aware of that, because we all come across it. We may not have a perfect day, but we have a pretty darn good day, and then someone cuts us off on traffic, and it's just like you just blow up, and you're like, your heart rate goes up, and you're just like in a different state of mind, and it takes you 5-10 minutes, an hour to cool down. This kind of stuff on here, they're the chains. These are the real chains. And it doesn't matter if you got the best training, the best course, you carve out the best time of the day to do this stuff. All that stuff gets trumped until you learn to perfect your habits, learn to perfect how you react to things, and know that it is perfectly natural, and it is probably built into us, and it's why we've survived as long as we have as a species, is because when things like this happen to us, we have a perfect day, and then something doesn't happen, we needed to react this way in order just to survive. And today we're well beyond, the hand-to-mouth survival environment. It's just such an incredible time to be. So think about that, and just, I guess the core thing here, the core message, the takeaway is, Be aware of your reactions. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. Somebody writes something on a post or something. Somebody says something that you heard through the grapevine about you, whatever, and it just totally shakes you on here because it's these same kind of things. Because as an entrepreneur and opening up your own business and stuff, guess what? Things ain't going to go smooth. I got news for you. It just doesn't happen that way. Okay? You're going to have 5 or 6 wins, and you're going to get 1 or 2 knocks to the knee. Okay? If you focus on the stumbles that you made and you let that trump everything else, you're not going to make it. You don't have it. You don't have the fortitude to make it. Okay? It's just not going to happen. And so you really just need to be aware of that, aware of your feelings and that, and then just be conscious of it. And then you immediately just say to yourself, you can call it gratitude, whatever you want, doesn't matter. You need to flex that mental muscle, okay? That little 3-4 pound brain we've got, because that's reality. Nothing else is. Realize that. That's the reality. Your success, your amount of income that you make, the amount of freedom that you have is completely dependent on that thing between the ears, that little capsule up there behind our eyeball sockets. That's it. Okay? It doesn't depend on the government. It doesn't depend on, gas prices. It doesn't depend on a JOB. It doesn't depend on any of that stuff, okay? Because people have made fortunes during depressions. Many of the greatest fortunes have been made then. It has nothing to do with that stuff. It has everything to do with you and what you do. So you want to dig a little bit deeper. It's not just about, getting up early, eating clean, so you have, a good vessel, a good environment for your body to be able to function in, both physically and mentally. But you've got to learn how to perfect your habits, your mental habits. It's the most important thing you can possibly do for yourself. And the good news is you don't need to read some 400-page book on how to do it. You don't need to do some, long exercises about it. It's not exhausting. It's that when it comes up, I'm just asking you to be aware of it and then shift your thinking over to, okay, this happened. It sucks, whatever. What do I got good going on so I can re-energize myself and move the heck on and focus on what I can control? Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of things here today. And we're just going to continue the conversation from last week. But before we get into that, I want to remind everybody that these are the solid dates in Barcelona. It is the workshop. You're going to come and work. I've already lined up some value-added speakers that have absolutely nothing to sell you. And it's just going to be a packed week. I would advise that you come early and stay late. This is the kind of thing you want to do. If you're on the East Coast, it's actually a very short flight. It's about 6 hours. It's nothing. It's really kind of like going from San Diego to Orlando. I will be posting stuff shortly about how you can reserve your spots. Okay. And then from there, then I'm going to end up doing is that about 4 weeks before September 23rd, then I'm going to close the spots up so I can take the existing people and find the correct venue for this. And we did a test run in Vegas. I think everybody there that I spoke with just had an incredible experience. And this is the kind of event I always wanted to do. This is one I always wanted to be a part of. I would go to events and meeting people, whatever, but let's be honest. It's how the industry works. It's not just the IM industry. It's the entire industry. Anytime you're invited to go to a live event, guaranteed 100% of the time, except this time, there's going to be value and speakers up there, but it's a pitch fest. That's how they make their money. Okay. So the speakers open it up. They spend a tremendous amount of money to get you to fly out someplace, sit in the seat, and then they bring in the best of the best speakers who are known and have a history for closing. And whatever they're pitching on stage, there's an affiliate thing. So there's a 50-50 affiliate thing going on. so on and so forth. That's the way it works. There it is. That's not what this is. Okay. I want to build a community that is face to face, that meets, that enjoys meeting twice a year in different places. And there's nothing like getting out of your own environment to be able to be more open mentally and emotionally for change. Okay. There's nothing like, if you've never been outside of the U.S., if you've never been to Barcelona, it's it's seriously one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And there's beautiful beaches and people are beautiful, and it's just great. It's really, and if you're a sports fan, there's no better place than, Barcelona, than, Messi and the whole crew there. It's unbelievable. But so you want to do whatever you can right now to start planning to come out. All you got to do, if you're an active Call Zoom member, you just got to figure out, are you going to take a boat over? Are you going to take a plane over? How are you going to get here? That's all you got to worry about. Okay. And then we're going to have some really good times for sure. So I'm very, very pumped about it. I didn't know how these were going to work out. And the Vegas one really excited me and gave me a lot of encouragement, basically from the face-to-face and the direct feedback from the people who came out. It was phenomenal. So we want to continue that, build momentum with it. And so anyways, that's what's going on there. And let's go ahead and continue here. So just a quick recap from last week. It's always good. Reiterating this stuff is, I really kind of drove home the idea of, what's the difference between an employee, a solopreneur versus a entrepreneur on here. And really the kind of tough love here is that the majority of people out there who call themselves an entrepreneur, proudly so, are actually solopreneurs. And solopreneurs are nothing more than an employee that works from home, gets probably paid less and works more, and is frustrated and misses out on things on life and has health problems eventually. That's really what it's about on here. And they get it all confused. Like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. No, you're not. So what is a entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur? A true entrepreneur is someone who specializes in building teams, building dream teams, and those are the employees. And there's a certain mindset that really enjoys that. In fact, the majority of the population does. And we could argue that that's an evolutionary process as well. Because there's got to be, Indians and chiefs. There's got to be followers and doers and, worker bees and all that kind of stuff. And your primary job is not to be learning SEO, you need to know SEO, but it's not to be doing SEO. It's not to be building private blog networks. It's not to be adding content to your sites. It's not to be, grunting through building your websites and all this kind of stuff. You are the visionary. You are the one now. You are a job provider and you are a value provider. You provide jobs for the most important people in your life, which is your employees, not the customers, by the way. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is your employees. They're your dream team, and then you provide the structure that they need, and they provide the value to your customers and the value to others. And that's the way that it works. And I don't hear anybody talking about this stuff. Okay, I hear everybody talking about freedom, lifestyles, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, that's everyone's missing the boat on that. So if you're kind of like what I'm talking about right now and you want more detail about it, that's what I talked about in detail about how to build your dream team. I went over last webinar, how to do the resume or the job description, and getting out of the mindset and getting out of you're stuck in the employee solopreneur and jumping over onto the entrepreneur. The absolute best thing you could possibly do for your business, and I know it's a scary step, is that even if you have no business, is to hire somebody. And then what that does is now you've hired somebody. I'm talking somebody really good. You hire somebody, and you hire somebody from overseas, and it's going to put you in the mindset that you need to be in. It's going to give you that healthy kind of pressure. It's like, okay, I've got maybe 15 or 20 hours, maybe 30 hours of work for this person to do. Or maybe you're thinking to yourself, there's only 5 or 10 hours of work. And I would argue, no, if you're following the program I'm laying out, and you want to go full bore, that's a full-time job easily. And then that puts you in the mindset, okay, I got to find more work. I got to now find revenue for the company. That's a CEO's job. That's your job, is to go out and find revenue and then have jobs for people, and those people provide value to your customers. That's it. Your job is not to buy shiny objects. Your job is not to do any of that nonsense. So let's continue with that conversation on here on how you would build your dream team. Because this is what you want your team to look like on here. You want your dream team coming out. I mean, this is a pack right here that they're hunters and huntresses. This is the kind of team that you want with your company. So, dream team. So today we're going to talk about how to train your dream team. This is really important. So how do you train them? Well, let's talk about how not to do it, because it's the common way I see people talk about it all the time. I'll just buy a course on SEO and I'll just hand it over to my dream team and they'll just follow it and then just do it. Wrong. And anybody that knows anything has actually been through this process know that doesn't work. Okay? It period doesn't work. So how do you do it? How do you train your dream team? Well, the first thing you need to do, and you only need to do this one time, and I'm going to warn you, it's a lot of work, but you got to do it. There's just, I don't see any way around it, but you just do it one time. So you want to provide structure. What employees really like is they like to know, especially virtual ones, and I hire everybody from the Philippines, by the way, except for our programmers are from Bangladesh. But aside from that, everyone else is from the Philippines. And as a side note for everybody here, I have an office of 34 in the Philippines, and I'm going to be opening up a second office. And I'm going to be flying to China to do some work there. It's different from the call to stuff. But then after that, on the 27th, all the way through at least the first couple of weeks of May, I'm going to be in the Philippines. And I'm going to be getting an office. I'm going to be hiring people, interviewing them. And I will film the whole kind of process so everyone can watch. And it doesn't mean you get value out of it, because it doesn't mean that you need to open an office somewhere, but the whole interview process is really important, and you can do that virtually through Skype. Anyways, I'll share all that stuff so you can kind of get a behind the scenes of kind of what's going on, and that's just as a whole nother separate. I'm building another separate part of my businesses. I actually run 4 different businesses, but I can only do that because I've got dream teams. I'm building a second set of dream team people on here that needs to be separate from everybody else. And so you get a part of that. And for future references, if you want to know how to do the office. Anyways, it'll provide a lot of value to everybody. I could easily just do the whole thing and create a course out of it and sell it for thousands of dollars, but that's just not where my mindset is. I can make more money building a dream team than filming how to build a dream team and then making a course out of it. So I'm going to do that. So how do you train your dream team? Well, pretty much everybody on this call right now, the first person that you're going to want to hire is going to be a generalist, and a generalist that's going to be able to, they know their way inside and out of, WordPress. Absolutely. They know the basics, are a little above basics with Photoshop. They're going to have to speak really good English. They're going to have some good writing skills, although they don't need to be an expert writer, just really good writing skills. And they will have that as long as they can speak really well. And they're going to have to follow directions. And then if they got anything extra going on from their background, it's just going to be a bonus. But that's basically it. So it's going to free you up. And they're going to do all the busybody stuff, all the Firefox and IPs and building your sites and backlinking and all that. They're just going to do it all for you. But you got to provide the structure on how to do that. So the easiest way to do that is to just simply use some kind of screen capturing software. There's free stuff out there, Jing, Screener. All of these allow you to record whatever's on your laptop. I think for 5 minutes, and then it stops, and then you can do 5-minute segments. It's free. Don't go out and invest in something that's there's a lot of expensive stuff out there. You don't need to. That's enough. And then where do you host it? Just host it free. Host it on YouTube and just make it unlisted. And then where are you going to put this stuff? Just use your current business website and do a post, but just password protected. Okay, it's not a big deal. Everything I just told you is 100% free. And it's exactly how I started out. So don't get into this mindset. I see this all the time. And I think about it. I haven't quite figured out. Well, I have my theories on it, actually. I could go on about it. But this is what happens is people go, oh, okay, I got to do this. And instead of just taking the free versions and going on, they somehow feel like they're accomplishing more if they do more investigation and searching online for something better. It's like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right. So I better look out and see what the best screen capture software is, and then research through that for hours and spend, whatever, $200 for it, whatever the going rate is for that stuff. I just don't want to do like a blog stuff with passwords. I better get like a membership site. So that's going to be another $200 for that kind of plug-in. And then you go on and on and on and on. And it's like, I think there's something in the psyche that feels like when they do that, they like actually accomplish something. And the truth is you haven't, right? They just do it. You can do, once you get revving up going, you can do this stuff better. This is exactly how I started. It was literally years later that I finally upgrade to paid stuff. Literally. It works. Okay. Progress. Massive imperfect action every day. Not perfection. Perfection is your worst enemy. Okay. So let me just recap that right there, and then we'll get into what are you going to actually train on and stuff. So all you need is some free screen capture software. Just Google it. Jing and Screener, I know, are two. I know there's got to be others out there, right? Where are you going to host these videos? You're going to host them on just a YouTube channel. Any YouTube channel. Don't make a new one. Don't overcomplicate it. Just do yours. You're going to mark unlisted anyways, so no one else is going to see them. And then where are you going to post these things? You're going to post these things as a post on your current company site or whatever domain you've got. And you're just going to password protect it, and it's not going to show up anywhere, okay? So simple, done. Now, what are you going to film? What are you going to do? Well, this is where the exercise of doing this is going to be the most valuable exercise as an entrepreneur you've ever done, and no one's teaching it. And that is, now you've got to start, because your job is to create systems for employees to follow. And when you start doing that and going through the mental exercise of thinking that out, you've got to start thinking about, okay, instead of just saying, I need you to write a unique article for these private blog networks and link back to my site. That instruction is a bunch of BS, okay? And it causes the employee stress because now they want to do good, but the instructions are so freaking poor, it's just like it stresses them out, and they end up leaving. You know how many times I hear people go, yeah, I tried to get a VA, I tried that, and they all just disappear and leave someday. What's going on with those Filipinos? They must really be bad. I don't understand how I can make that work. Well, look, it's not their fault. It's your fault, Dumbo. Seriously. You're not providing step-by-step instructions on what to do. And if you do, and you follow what I'm talking about here, you're going to be amazed at the results. absolutely amazed. And then all of a sudden you're going to feel like you've got Cristiano Ronaldo working for you. You've got Messi working for you. You've got the best of the best. You've got your dream team players on your team. Okay? But you've got to be the leader. You've got to get this started out of the gate. So let's look back at that, because now you got to retool and you got to think about your business, and you got to go, okay, so I need to add, so first of all, it's like, there's so many different areas we can look at, right? Don't get overwhelmed about it. Just start with one, and then your brain will start to retool and rethink and relook at your life and your business like you've never done before. Never. And it's such an important exercise that you have to go through personally. Because a lot of you right now are thinking in the employee mindset right now. And you know how I know that? Is because you're thinking, well, Chris, why don't you just freaking provide the training videos? And then we'll give them and hand them over to our VAs, and I'll just wipe my hands clean and we're done. Because if I did that, I'd be doing you the worst favor ever. Okay? Seriously. You need to go through this exercise because you have to start thinking like this. Look, I don't just outsource. I outsource everything. I need plane tickets. Look, this is what I had to do. So I had to get, just give you an example of outsourcing. And this is the way you need to retool and think your entire life is I needed to get plane tickets and coordinate with 2 other people to fly into Hong Kong on the 20th. And then when we fly into Hong Kong, we actually need to then go over and cross the border and go into China. And we're going to be tired. All of us are coming from places where it's going to be, at least a 20-hour to 24-hour total flight time. Do we want to take the traditional ways to go from Hong Kong into Shenzhen? And, they have like subways, they have high-speed trains, they have ferries. I mean, which way do you want to take on that? And factor all these things into place. And then how long is the border crossing? And what are the visas that are required because there are visas required. It just gets really complicated. I could have literally spent 5 to 6 hours shopping for the right plane ticket, organizing all this stuff from one point to another to hotels and everything. No. I just turned it over to my VA, who's been doing this for me for years. I said, I'm going here. These people are meeting me. We're tired. We want everything to be easy. Figure it out. And there's more instructions than that, but that's because she's been working with me for years. But then that frees up 6 hours of my time in front of a computer, going to Travelocity, looking for, drivers and hotels, and is there enough booking and blah, 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 blah. Is it close enough to here? And can we use Uber over here or not Uber? How much currency do we need to do? I got to free up all of that stuff. And you need to first start, and what do I do with that free time? If your answer was watch Netflix and zone out, then you're wrong. With that free time, and it's mentally draining with that free time, what do I do? Now I'm completely free. And I mean like free, like light as a bird. To now just continue to stay focused on my business and continue to focus on my main job, which is not the nitty gritty, which is not the build the private blog networks, which is not the, I got to worry about a conversion on a site. It's not about how to get client, none of that. I can just focus on building teams, building jobs, building value for others. So train your team. So you need to go through that mental process of doing that. So you need to think, okay, what's the first task you want them to do? Is it build your lead gen site? Well, then you need to make videos on how to do that. You need to know how to do that, and you need to build that check for check. It's a totally different way of doing it rather than just handing them over the Call Zoo course and here, you watch this and do that. It's different. You've got to retool this. You got to think about that. You want to create, so the method I use is I do videos, and then below the videos, very short bullet point steps. Done. What's going to happen is now you're going to start to, because you're forced to do that exercise, you got to think about the steps. involved. You got to McDonaldize your business. McDonald's is, it doesn't matter where you go in the world, everything, the fries taste the same, everything's the exact same service. It's just replicatable. And no one comes to their job and say, and they have to kind of guess. And their job description and their job description says, cook French fries. Cook French fries and serve customers. That's a bunch of fucking baloney, right? But that's what 99.99% of these so-called solopreneurs do. It's like a McDonald's. They go, here, you cook burgers. You're in charge of burgers. Make the best burgers possible and do them fast. And you do fries and do them fast. And you do the cashier. And don't screw up or you're fired. That's the way everyone's out there is running their goddamn business. It's a freaking clown joke. No. You think that happens with McDonald's? Are you kidding me? So one person is in charge of one thing and one thing only. French fries. And there is no question of how many of the temperature that oil needs to be in. And there's no question at all of exactly how many frozen French fries are going into that basket. And there's no question, no thinking about when that basket is full and that oil is the right temperature and it dips into the hot oil of exactly, to the second when you pull that out. And then how much salt? Do you think the person doing French fries in New York, San Diego, Oklahoma, Boise, Idaho, La Jolla, do you think any of those, these are the exact same French fries? Do you think any of those have a difference in salt on them? Exactly, because they don't have a choice. They're told exactly how many shakes to put. 3, boom, 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 done. That's it. Okay, so that's the way you need to work this. And the good news is you got to do it one time. You know why? Because your business and my business is dynamic and it moves on, and especially on the internet, it moves at lightning speed. Look, back in 2013, SEO and lead gen business was one model. Today, 3 years later, it is 100% different, isn't it? Like completely different. And your business will be as well. So what happens is that you need to interview people who are good at English, because they're going to be, and I already gave you the tasks. And one of the tasks that I gave you is they have to give a little instructional video of something simple to do, like install a WordPress plugin. Because what they're going to do is you make this initial one, the training, the videos with little bullet points below it, text. And then when there's updating needed, or they find a better way to do the job, a more efficient way to do it, who's going to do the videos now? Not you. They are. And it becomes a living, breathing manual for your empire. And they build it up. But you know what? You got to get the first chapter started. And you got to be able to, and that process of writing that first chapter is retooling your brain to rethink about your business, about how do I systemize this? How do I McDonaldize it? Okay? And I'm telling you, just do it. It's the best thing you've ever done. This advice that I'm giving you right now will literally change your life. You can go out and buy all the shiny objects about, fancy plugins and schema stuff and whatever. The best way to rank videos, blah, blah, blah. But you're focused on the employee consumer mindset at that point. And I'm trying to shift you into perfecting a different type of habit here. All right, let me move on, because I feel like I'd just talk about that for the next 5 hours. All right, so where to hire? How much to pay? You can hire from wherever you want. I've had really good success in the Philippines. Following what I've been teaching. If you follow what you've heard or what you think you should be done, then you're going to fail miserably at it, right? Everybody talked about that. It's like, they disappear after 2 or 3 weeks. Well, guess what? You didn't get structure. They get stressed out and they leave. So where to hire? Philippines. And I would recommend that if you can, try to focus in on one area. Look at there's 3 main cities on there. It's Manila, by city, and Davao. And if you focus on those 3 cities in there, because it's nice to have people around, have the same culture, and to think big. And so if you're going to grow your virtual staff, and if they're all in the same city, then at some point you're going to want to open an office there. And you might be thinking right now, oh, that's like way too far. I can't even, no, think big, okay? Remember, my story is about Dan Pina, okay? Billionaire. His mindset is completely different. You got to take on a new, larger size, okay? So right now I'm asking you to put on shoes that are so freaking big that you almost trip over them. That's okay. You're going to grow into them. How much to pay? Always pay more than what they're asking, and do it in phases. So most of them right now, I'm going to give you a really hot tip I just forgot about right now that I need to mention to everybody. This is really important. I'll just skip to it right now, and then I'll come back to this. Pay in the Filipino peso. It'll save you thousands of dollars. Why? Because if you study the currency, if you study Forex, and just trust me on this, if you study Forex and you look at the US dollar, which most of you are getting, or even, US dollar, and you compare the price fluctuations between that and the peso for the Filipino peso, you want to pay in Filipino pesos, because what will happen right now is that you pay in Filipino pesos, is that, and trust me, their currency will drop like a bucket compared to the US dollar, because things are just too fucked up right now. Excuse my language, in the world and economy right now. It's just too freaking weird that I was in the States for a little while ago, and I'm looking at gas prices, and they're like under $2, like $1.70 and $1.48 and stuff. Are you joking me? That's not normal, folks. And there's going to be huge backlash for that. It's like the whole mortgage thing. Anyways, there's going to be some dumping going on after that. So what's going to happen is that if you pay right now in U.S. dollars, the U.S. dollar, because the government in the U.S. Controls just way too much of the world, they're going to be able to maintain the strength of the dollar, but the peso is going to fall like crazy. And so you're going to want to pay in pesos. Just pay in their Philippine dollars. Make sure that that's it. It's not in U.S. dollars, okay? It's in their currency. It will save you a ton of money, and it's not going to hurt anybody else. So, okay, so how much to pay? More than whatever they're asking. Most of them are shooting for roughly around $5 US dollars per hour, and a lot of them will accept less. And I would highly recommend, if you want to get the superstars on that end of it, that you initially out of the gun pay just a little bit more, and then with performance-based, in performance-based, I mean stuff that you really need. Like no sick days, basically showing up for work. Okay. And, when you have, real company issues and you're asking for advice on solutions, that they give good input back, that they participate in that. You want them to participate in part of the solutions. You don't want to be the one. You have to be able to leverage and open up the brain trust within your group. Okay, don't let them shut down and just like, oh, you come up with all the solutions. No, you pose you may have your own solution, but you pose to everybody that you work that works for you. I need some solutions here, and I'm open to creative ideas. I need some out-of-the-box thinking on here. Please send in your solutions to this and offer a little prize. The best prize for first place gets free dinner. The second one gets coffee or something like that. The third one gets their cell phone bill paid for, something like that. To encourage them to get involved, and then reward the ones that do that, and have them, get them in that and create that culture of problem solving. Okay, because people say all the time, like, oh, I hire Filipinos, but they can't even think for themselves. Look, dude, and check out, they don't want to make a mistake. So you got to create the kind of environment that allows them and rewards them to think outside the box. Okay, look, what I'm sharing with you right now, I've spent, I don't even know, but a hell of a lot of money and a lot of headaches to come up with. So, okay, so answer that. That's enough. KPIs. KPIs as an entrepreneur are your bestest friend in the whole world. So what's a KPI? It's a key performance indicator, which what you don't want to do with these things is overcomplicate them. Then it just destroys everything. You want to try to, what your key performance indicator are is it allows you to look at the health and well-being of your company and be able to look at it in 30 seconds and know that everything's okay or things are not okay or we're in big trouble instantly without talking with anybody, nothing, looking at it in a simple Excel sheet. So let's not overcomplicate this. An Excel sheet, that's it. That you need to measure how the performance is doing. This does two things. This lets your workers know exactly how they're being measured, reduces their stress, and so they know exactly what to do to get the highest score possible. It's like a video game. Think of Angry Birds, right? Angry Birds, I haven't even played Angry Birds for a long time. My kids don't even play it anymore. But anyways, Angry Birds, you like shoot the bird out. You knock over a pig, you get so many points. You know what points you get, right? You destroy the structure and you hit it just right, then you're going to probably knock down 10 pigs and some other big birds and you get more points. You know how the game is played. You know what you got to do to get a high score, right? That's what KPIs are for employees. Really important. And for you, it gives you the end score. You know exactly how they're playing. Are they losing the game, which means your company's losing? Or are they winning the game, which means your company's winning? It's like a game. You want to gamify it. Gamify this process. Make it fun, enjoyable. Make it simple. Okay, so let's take an example of this. What's a KPI? Don't get all SEO nerdy on this stuff, okay? Simplicity is the key here. So let's take something on here. Let's do what would be a simple one out there. So a really easy one to do would be writing. Everyone needs to, you don't want to be doing the writing. You let someone else do the writing for you. So a simple KPI for the writing would be that the writing needs to pass CopyScape. How simple is that? So I wrote 10 articles, and out of those 10 articles, how many passed CopyScape? Easy, all 10, or it better be. It's very simple to measure. Then you know your articles are going to be fine that way, right? You may want to add one more KPI to it, but again, don't overcomplicate it. So the other KPI on that end of it, you may want to add Grammarly. I think it's Grammarly. Yeah. Grammarly, which gives you a score of the quality of the grammar, basically the quality of the article. That way, guess what? You don't got to read the damn shit. You don't got to read it because even if it takes you 10 or 15 minutes to read a few articles, you don't want to be doing that. So what happens is their job descriptions after they do the articles and you give them step by step on how they're going to do the articles of it, then it has to pass two KPIs. The KPI number one, which is really easy, CopyScape. Does it pass CopyScape? Yes, it does. Done. Check. Number two, does it pass Grammarly? Grammarly will give you a score back. I think it's like, whatever the score is. And then you just determine, hey, everything's got to be above an 88%. Then all your articles are fine, right? You don't have to read through them, and your employee knows exactly how they're being measured. It's a stress reduction for everybody, and it will increase performance of you and your employees. Are you getting how important this is? Don't add another KPI to the articles I just gave you. Don't get in there and go keyword density, blah blah blah. No. Then you're gonna screw things up. Simplicity, focusing on the best measurements that you can. Never going after perfection, just progress moving forward. You got it? All right. So that's an example. So you need to kind of use your noodle a little bit to kind of, and that's part of the process here to think the process of my business, the systems, the McDonaldization, and then how do I measure this? How do I measure these things? Simple things so that I can just look right quickly on an Excel sheet. Boom. This is where the business is. Bam, 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 bam. Everything's in order. It's good. Oh, we got some little issues over here. Maybe not time to call a meeting, time to retool the process, find out what's going on, ask them for solutions, right? Okay. This stuff that I'm talking to you about right now, this is your job. Your job is not to buy courses. It's not to do all the work. I hope that's like ringing through loud and clear. Okay. Questions and answers. Is that it? Okay. I even have to squint to see this. So it's one of the questions and answers that came in. As soon as I get through these ones that were pre-sent in, then I'll turn it over to everybody. I watched last week's replay. You made a lot of great points. I implemented that, but may I ask another urgent question? Sure, why not? I tried this before. I hired 2 to 3 VAs, but their work didn't generate any real results. What the fuck? Did I just cover this point? Okay, exactly. After a few months, I had to let them go. It might be because they were not superstars or the business system was not good enough. You nailed it right there. The business system was not good enough, period. Okay? You provide the right screening, automated screening, as I talked about last week, and the right systems in place, which I just got done ranting about, then the ship is going to float and it's going to go good. I think I can try. We got to get, you know what? These habits, remove try from your vocabulary, everybody. I think I can try to find a better VAs, but if I need to generate some urgent cash to pay off credit card debt, I need to work on a system that can generate fast results. I plan to do lead gen as long as my long-term business model, since it may take a while to rank sites, get clients, etc. I understand you said you manage 4 businesses, so I'd love to hear your advice on your experience among lead gen, blah, 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 blah. Which model do you think has the shortest path to profit? Okay, so this is the wrong mindset on here. And I get these kind of questions all the time. And that is, I'm in a desperate situation. I need cash, and I'm not minimizing that situation. Trust me, I've been there, done that. But that leads to short-term thinking. That leads to, you know what? I don't have time to create systems and build a team and hire people so I can focus on what my real job is. I just need to grind down and do it. And then once everything comes in, I'll be okay. You know what? That shit don't work, man. Okay? And if it does, please send me a buy link. I'll buy it tomorrow. No, I'll buy it right now. And I'll buy 20 of them for all my closest friends. Because it don't work. There is no get rich, got to do this, got to skip the steps and be sloppy, man, right? Got to skip the steps. I'm not going to go through the process of property. Oh, okay, I got to hire VA, so I'll do it, but I do it wrong. And then you're what? You just went ahead one step, but now you're 10 steps back. And stuff. No, you got to create the systems in place. And if money's really tight, you know what? You create the systems in place. You do that. You work the extra hours at night. Okay, you freaking man up or woman up and do that. And if you have to, you go out and you work another job, because your time is better spent actually working at Starbucks than it is doing this. Your time is better spent working at a mall, at a ladies' shoes department, okay, than doing this kind of work, so that you can create systems and stuff in place and put in so that other people can do this and you can monitor them. You can create your KPIs. You're acting as a CEO, and part-time you're moonlighting as a shoe department person. Seriously. Okay. But don't out there and do shortcuts, because the shortcut stuff, you know what that is? It's your habits. I'm talking about perfecting good habits. And what that habit is there is that short-term immediate gratification BS, which how good has that served you so far? And whoever sent this in, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I'm not picking on you. This is something that everybody does, so you're not alone on it, okay? And I'm just giving you tough love because I care. I'm not sitting on here on a high horse saying I'm here, you're there, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to talk down to you. I'm talking at you to try to lift you up. What else we got here? Okay, so that's it. I'm going to move on from there. That's it for the questions and answers. So I will now open the chat box. And what do we got for time? Oh, perfect. We're just, I like that one. I just finished like within an hour on the end of it. So we'll do questions and answers. And now's the time when you want to type in your questions in the chat box. And we will rock and roll from there. Okay, cool stuff. And okay. All right. Okay. So I want to copy and paste these in here, these questions. So that when people, this was a suggestion, by the way, that we got from members. We take suggestions extremely seriously. Let me give you a suggestion that is almost updated. It's a fantastic one, which was at the Vegas Mastermind. Whoever, I think it was Nick or somebody from there, gave this, they asked about this, and I stopped, wrote it in my notes in my cell phone, said I'm not checking my text messages. I'm writing down your suggestion because it's awesome. And then I immediately sent it off to my team, and now they did it. It's almost implemented. And that is, people have some really valid concerns. They're like, okay, so if we're all using the same WordPress theme and we're all using the same like email tracker plugin, is that not leaving a footprint? Well, hell yeah, it is, right? So can we do something to keep the same theme, keep the same plugins, that the calls do plugins, but change the footprints on them so everyone it looks unique through Google's algorithm? I thought that's a hell of a great idea, right? So I just copied it down. Whoever did this, thank you very much, by the way. And then I sent it to my team. My team came back because now they're problem solvers, right? I said, this is the problem. This is the challenge. Whoever comes up with the best solution, gets a free lunch or something like that, or they get their phone bill paid for a month, or they get their Wi-Fi paid for, or whatever. And so we get great, and they're like, yep, we got it figured out. We can do the plugin like this, blah, blah, blah. We can do the website. Can you imagine a website that is non-traceable? It's like everyone uses the same one, but Google can't recognize it. Awesome stuff. So copy and pasting the questions in here was another suggestion. So I just want to let you know, we're listening. Okay, so from a budgeting standpoint, can you give us an idea of the cost for Barcelona, etc.? I would start looking right now, going to Travelocity or whatever, look at some plane tickets on that. And I'm going to guess if you're going early on for plane tickets, and you flip-flop days around, because there can be a huge difference between returning on a Sunday versus a Tuesday. I mean, a huge difference. And you first start from there. You're probably looking at, I don't know, but you want to be focusing on the experience, right? So you're going to want to look at that. As far as the venue goes, what I'm looking to do for the venue is not some 5-star hotel kind of stuff. There's actually some really interesting venues like Countryside, where it's like we'd just be encapsulated in our own little environment, and there would be enough time to go to the cities and enjoy everything around here. Because you definitely, if you're coming all the way over, you want to do that. But we're here to work for the weekend, and then you stay as long as you want and you go out and play. And that'll be extremely inexpensive because it's kind of like it's made up. We went to a place, for example, it's just a little outside of Barcelona, with our church group here, and they rented out a place for the weekend. It was fantastic. It was like all these bunk beds, and it has a great courtyard, and you felt like you were in the medieval times going back 100, 200 years. It was awesome. And they had kitchens, and it was fantastic in Wi-Fi and everything. So I'm thinking something like that to kind of recreate that same kind of environment that we had in Vegas and keep it very unique. So, so yeah, you want to budget that stuff out. So I would be thinking, looking at your plane tickets, and I'd be looking at, minimum for your sleeping arrangements, and then minimum for like food and stuff like that. And it's going to be very similar to traveling in the U.S. You can travel to San Diego, but you could stay at a really expensive hotel or not and stuff. But we're all going to be staying at the same place. So more details on that later. That's a good question. And but for right now, focus on building your business. That's what you want to be focusing on, not on how can I save. That's another habit that's really not a good habit. How can I save? Okay, good. Oh yeah, Richard Branson. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. How do you pay in pesos? That's a great question. So it's good. It's a little nitty question. Let me just copy and paste that in here really quickly. It's a good question on that. So let me just copy and paste that in. So how do you pay in pesos? Basically, you just do the conversion yourself. So you just go online and you just say conversion from Filipino pesos to U.S. dollars. And just before you pay every week, you just go on there and you go, okay, well, this week, this many pesos, 1,700 is equivalent to 72 U.S. dollars, and you send them 72 U.S. dollars, PayPal or whatever. Okay, it's that simple, but I overlook that. How do you send the money? Good. Okay, so that's a good question too. So normally what I do, it's kind of a little bit of a vetting process, but I will make sure that they have a PayPal account. Now, if they're superstars everywhere else and they don't have a PayPal account, I'm not going to turn them away, okay? Then there's like Zoom, and there's some other payment processes, and they'll tell you. It's usually Zoom, Z-O-M. Or Pioneer's another one. But I usually like to just simplify it. And normally people who have a PayPal account means that they have a checking account. And if you have a checking account, then you didn't like screw the bank over or something, right? And usually people who don't have a checking account, there's some suspicion there, right? So that's just a little bit of a vetting thing. So 99.99% of the time, it's just going to be through PayPal. Good question. Okay, had a site for 2 months, registered in France, and it worked on it from France. Should I start over on a new domain or just buy a proxy facility on that end of it? Okay. Sam, let me answer your question here. Let me just get it in the slides. Okie dokie. So, had a site for 2 months, registered from France, and I worked on it from France. Got it. Should I start over with a new domain or just buy a proxy from the U.S. city I am targeting and continue working on it? I'm not questioning the answer. I'm pushing the question if I understand it or not. So you had this site registered from France. You worked on it from France. So it's, registered in France. I'm going to assume it's a .com, not a .fr. Okay. So I'm going to assume it's a .com. So it's a .com. You registered it from France and you worked on it from France from an IP address in France. It's a .com, as I'm assuming. Should I start over with a new domain and just buy a proxy from the U.S. I'm targeting? No. Continue on with your current one and get a proxy from the U.S. and a Firefox profile from the U.S. and just continue working on it. You'll be fine. The 3 cities, David, in the Philippines. Just look. You can just Google like the 3 top cities: Quezon City, Davenport, and Manila. Those are the 3 main ones on that. The most popular, but it's huge. There's like over 120 separated land masses there. It's just a whole stream of islands. But those are the 3 biggest, and you're gonna find your biggest pool of talent there. Okay. All right. So I'll answer this question, although I answer it all the time, but it's definitely a word. So thank you for that, Nancy. What's a typical timeline to see profit? I never know how to answer this question because there is not a direct answer for this. And the reason there isn't is because let's say that we're all in a weight loss program together. This is a weight loss call you're on right now. And we're all following the same weight loss protocol. We all know we got to exercise. So we all got to, get up every morning and do 20 minutes of walking. We all know that we got to, reduce some of the calories that we do and replace those with high nutrition calories. And that's it, right? And we all have different starting points. Some people got to lose 50 pounds. Some people got to lose 20 pounds. So when does everyone get to the point where they get to that ideal weight or seeing a profit? It's entirely up to you because let's be honest. I mean, some people in that scenario are going to cheat. They're going to go back to their non-perfect. No, they're not working on perfecting their habits. They're just going through the motions, and their old habits are going to trump them. So some people are going to go, you know what? 70% of the time I'll eat pretty good, and 30% of the time I'm just going to go way back to what I used to do, and I'm going to do a couple of binge eating stuff. So they're going to get slower results, right? And if they let those old habits take over, they're just going to go right back to ground zero, and they're not going to make any progress. So I think that's probably the best way to answer that on here. So really what you need to be doing is you need to be looking at this, and you're just like, you are so focused and so determined to make this happen, and you're going to keep your blinders on. You're just going to freaking march forward, determined, knowing that you can do this. You totally believe in yourself, and you're not going to, because at that point, in that kind of mindset, like how soon can I see a profit? That kind of mindset, you are perfect prey for marketers to come in with their next little shiny object, because you're in doubt, right? You're in doubt. I've been doing this for a while. Oh, next shiny object. Yeah. And then you feel like you accomplished something. All right. Where do you find potential Philippines and the VAs? Look at the previous webinar. I listed them all out. Okay, this is a good question. So let me just go ahead and copy and paste that in here. And there must be a faster way for me to do this. I have to think about that. Can we bring a guest to Barcelona? Heck yeah, bring your whole family, please. Seriously, we want this to be a family event. We want this to be an experience. And you don't want to experience this alone. So yeah, I'll be in Greece for a couple of weeks right around that time with a hot lady on my side. Well, yeah, of course. What are you going to do? Have a hot lady and just like not bring her? Of course. Come on. It's perfectly fine. I could not find the video you made in Vegas and posted. Rick, we got some time before we get that up. But it's coming. Next question. I already did that. Sandy, for the hotels and stuff, no, we don't have it. So we don't have it on that end of it, and stuff. But we will on that. But it's too far in advance to be doing that right now. Okay, so let me go ahead and copy and paste this question in here. Okay, good questions, by the way. For those of you that I kind of rant on your suggestions, your questions, don't take it personally. For the sales process, you talked about last week to hire VAs to scrape for local businesses in the top 50, and then have a process to send them and offer 3 leads. I had my VA scrape 6 cities, and I'm ready to do the next big thing with an email. Okay, I guess it's more of a statement. Okay, congratulations, Bill. Thank you so much for updating us on that. Okay. Phoenix to Barcelona round trip, September. Brian, I would definitely shop around more than that. Countryside sounds great. Okay, so comment on monitoring. Okay, this is a good question on here. Okay, so look, let me copy and paste this one in. Copy, and do we have room for more? Yeah, we do. Okay, so comments on the Joy Proof. Look, I fully support Joy Proof and the creators of Joy Proof. It's a fantastic idea. And those of you who don't know what Joy Proof is, basically what it does is it allows you, it's very lightweight, and allows you to monitor the screen and all the activity that your VA does. And I got it at the time when it came out. Then I contacted the owner. I'm like, this is fantastic. I really like this stuff. And I fully supported it. Over time, I noticed some things that happened with it. Is that, and there's pluses and minuses with it, so I'm just sharing my experience with it, is that for my more senior, high-level, trusted employees, this didn't work well for them. They felt violated. Like, What, you don't trust me? Versus my new employees is kind of expected. So you don't have to get this tool, and I don't think you got to go out and get the stuff to make it work. But if you already have it, or you have the means to do it, it's a good way to start out your first employees. Like, hey, this is all part of the process. Once you've, we use this for training purposes. Once you're fully trained, don't put it as a monitoring thing. Once you're fully trained, then we just remove it, and it's part of the stepping stone that you've progressed up a different level. And I think it's a good tool for that. But for everybody across the board and your trusted employees, no, you want to give your trusted employees the freedom. I mean, who gives a shit? I really don't care if they, go on Facebook. No, my high level ones go on Facebook or just do whatever the heck they want. As long as they know what their jobs is and they're getting it done and they're immediately responsive. Do whatever you want. You're getting your job done. It's perfect. All your KPIs are in line. Whatever. You're good. You're cool. I don't need to monitor every step of you. But someone new is probably a good idea. Okay, so confused about the dollar. I pay in pesos. That's what I do. I pay in pesos. Okay. So, hi, Chris. I had a full-time VA, and there are any red flags to look for in the first week. I know there won't be any to work. There won't be able to work as fast since they have a slower internet connection. Okay. With the internet connection on that, what I'd recommend is that there's more expensive home internet connection. It doesn't cost that much more. Offer to pay for it. Whatever it costs, an extra $20, $30 a month for you, you'll get 20 times the production out of them. Pay for it for them and have them get it. Okay, that's how I would overcome that. Am I going to be offering training advice on steps required to become a digital nomad, incorporating Hong Kong citizenship and visas? I'm only doing that for the private mastermind group at this time. So, okay. So note when you pay with PayPal in different currencies, it gets converted. Yeah, you don't. You just pay in U.S. currencies, and yeah, I think it does get converted over, right? It gets converted over, but you need to know. So if you send it, I have someone else send them over in our HR department. But I think if um, you, you you're sending to a Filipino PayPal account, right? So you want to do the conversion. You want to find out, okay, for this week, 18,000 pesos is how much in U.S. dollars, and that's what you pay in U.S. dollars. And when it hits their PayPal account, then I guess it's going to get converted into their local currency, right? So good point. Appreciate that. Okay, so David asked on here. Let me just let's copy this. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. So David asked in here, did you have examples of spreadsheets, etc., for launching KPIs? Do you color code them? Yes, I do. And I did. There's a I don't even know where it is. You have to Google. Someone else posted it up. I was a guest speaker at an event in Hong Kong, or not in Hong Kong, in Bangkok, um, and it was a good presentation. I forget what the heck it was, like a KPIs. I don't know, Chris Winners, and we'll see. But the presentation was recorded, and I'm just trying to look for what the video is. Yeah, here it is. So how I doubled my profits a year using KPIs. So just type in KPI Chris Winters. That's it right there. That's the presentation that I gave. I give all kinds of examples in there. So just go ahead and search for that. That's completely free. And then it was 5 months ago. It seems like it was years ago, but I've just been busy, I guess. Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and paying the VAs. Most of them like to be paid weekly. So I would go weekly, at the most bi-weekly, never go monthly. That's just not going to work. We do, I would suggest when you start out to do weekly. As you get more established as a company and you have more employees and you're basically have a better reputation of being a bigger company, then I would do the bi-weekly. But weekly will really be, that's like a benefit to be paid weekly. So, alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up. Appreciate everybody on your valuable time coming here to listen to me just basically talk and talk. So, we'll do this again. We do it every week, and I'll talk to you on the next webinar. Remember to perfect your habits, the right habits. Take care. Bye.